this chapter, we finally get to figure out what pirate crew Shaki was a part of. Shaki being Rayleigh's wife, I believe. I don't remember if it was confirmed if they're married or not, or just together. We'll get into that about halfway through the chapter. Come back to the Straw Hat Duo. My name's Charlie, and today we're going over chapter 1059 of One Piece. So the name of this chapter is the Captain Koby Incident. We also get to learn a little bit more about Rocky Point, Blackbeard, Boa, their bounties. We don't get to see a bounty on Koby's head, which now that that's a thing, I'd be interested in that. They should start doing that. The same way they introduce bounties for the pirates, they should start labeling the bounties for the Marines. The chapter starts out with the cover page story of the Germa 66's Cold-Blooded Voyage. It is volume 18. It's just got Oven and Katakuri fighting each other, and that's due to the effects of Caesar's hallucinogenic gas. That is a word that I did not think I was going to make on my first round through. This chapter starts out with Marco leaving the Red Hair Pirates ship. It turns out that that's how Marco got off Wano. Shanks kind of gave him a ride. Marco's like, hey, thanks for the ride. See you around. Shanks is like, so you're really not going to join our crew? And Marco's like, yeah, no, that's not happening. I'm too old and worn out to keep playing, babysitter for great pirates. Kind of a underhanded compliment. And Shanks is like, hey, wait a minute. I'm not a handful. Back me up here, Beck. And Beck's like, yeah, nope, can't do it. No can do, Captain. Sorry. And Lucky Roo's there just laughing, and their pet monkey, I believe his name is Monster. So Marco leaves, he's like, see you around. Then they have a little flashback of how that all went down in Wano. Marco's talking to the crew and Yamato. This is where Yamato tells Luffy and the crew, hey, I'm not going with you, and this is why. So this is kind of an explanation that everybody kind of wanted. I think this was only put in here because of the outrage of Yamato not joining the crew. I think Oda saw that, was like, I need to give him a little bit more concrete of a answer, and he kind of jammed this in here because it's kind of out of order. There's no reason that this should have been put in here now rather than previously. It shows Yamato saying, hey, the only reason that forest guy showed up is because Kaido's not here anymore. That power vacuum has left a void, and people will keep on attacking. So I need to stay here to defend the area. She's like, yeah, I really want to be a pirate, though, but this is what I got to do. And none of us would really be in ease if we were all always worrying about Wano and Momo and all that. Luffy's like, yeah, I guess I get it. Fine. He's not, happy about it, but he's, also happy that it'll be off his mind. He won't have to worry about it. So it's kind of a mutual agreement. Zoro's there. He's like, yeah, just make sure you don't tell Momo in that way, because that would probably hurt his feelings. He's got a lot of pride. Just find another reason. So Marco comes in. He's like, hey, there's a ship nearby that will give me a ride, so I'll be heading off first. Luffy and the crew are like, Marco, you're leaving already? And this is where Luffy actually, talks to Marco. He's like, hey, you saved me back in Marineford, right? The Summit War, right? I never got to say thanks. And Marco's like, yeah, back then it seemed like we were all so ready to spring into action. Makes you wonder why, doesn't it, Jinbei? And Jinbei's like, just laughs. He's like, yeah, that was a while ago. Who could say? And Marco, at this point, says a line that I actually made Shayna binge through One Piece before I recorded this, because she just got to the end of Marineford and didn't want her to be spoiled through this. So Marco's like, I'm sure Ace would be proud to see how far you've come. And Luffy laughs. He's like, oh yeah? And he's kind of bashful type. Because, it's pretty much the person who was one of the closest people to his brother before Ace got turned into a donut. And it's a high praise. So anyways, Marco is thinking back to that, and then it shows him flying to Sphinx Island where he lives. Then we cut over to Amazon Lily, which is another place that is pretty prominent with where Shayna is currently in the anime. It's very ironic how there's been so many callbacks to the specific places where she's been. It's crazy. We see Amazon Lily it is not looking in good shape. Quarter of the mountain has just been cut off. We see Boa there bandaged up, and the older lady. Boa's like, yeah, I think I'd better go and marry Luffy, since the Marines keep on coming. And then we cut back to a few weeks prior where it shows the Marines invading Amazon Lily. And we see Vice Admiral Yamakaji. Yeah, I don't know. It's the guy with the bushy beard, cigar. It seems like he's with Koby, invading Amazon Lily. Then we get to see the new model of pacifistas. It looks like, honestly, from the silhouette we get to see, it looks like a child Boa if she was a Lunarian. Looks like black wings, fire coming off their back, shooting lasers, and the facial features of a kid Boa. But the eyes are stars. I don't know why. The Amazon Lily residents are like, we can't fight a child, and I'm sure they're also going, especially since it looks like Boa. Then the Marines, they see another warship, and all of a sudden a sea quake happens, and it turns out it's Blackbeard using Whitebeard's power. Another reason I wanted her to finish up the Summit War before I did this, Blackbeard has Whitebeard's power. That wouldn't make much sense if she didn't finish that. We see Blackbeard. It turns out he's come for Boa's power. He wants Boa's power. He wants to make sure the Navy doesn't get it. Katarina Devon is there, and so is Vasco Shot. Katarina Devon just mentions, what a gorgeous face. Her head would make a wonderful trophy. Vasco Shot kind of becomes a bit creepy here. More creepy. He looks the same. He's always looked pretty creepy. But he's like, yeah, hang on. Don't you think we could have a bit more fun if we took her alive? And Blackbeard's just like, you guys can just do whatever you want with her after I take her powers. I don't really care after that. She doesn't serve a purpose to me. So then we see the Vice Admiral being talked to. He's like, we can't attack until we get word from headquarters. Blackbeard's like, yeah, no, I don't care about you guys. I'm not here for you. And he just uses Whitebeard's power and just blows them all away. He goes to the island, goes ashore, and says, get out here, Boa. And this is where we see Koby. And he's like, can't say we're surprised. We expected pirates to want a piece of the former warlords. At this point, Koby's like, Bo, we're not looking to fight. We just need you to surrender and we'll leave. We don't want to destroy the island. Bo is like, yeah, don't waste your breath. I will never submit to another captivity. So, obviously her and her sisters as kids were captured and taken as slaves for the world nobles. So, obviously she's got strong feelings about that. So, that's obviously not going to happen. We cut back over to Blackbeard, and a bunch of his crew's just getting blown away. He goes, a kid, what? And then he sees it, and he's like, wait, you're kidding. White hair, brown skin, and black wings? Lunarian. Sounds just like a Lunarian. But this one is a different one. It's not the one that looks like Boa. Instead, it looks like Mihawk as a kid. So it seems like all of the long-time powerful warlords are getting turned into child versions of pacifistas for their next version. And then Blackbeard's like, you guys aren't serious. This kid took you all down by themselves. And that's when it shows the mountain just getting sliced off. Because Mihawk, as a kid, he's even got the sword. He's got a cross-hilted sword that's like the same as Mihawk's. Interesting. I didn't notice that on my first read through. Check that out. If you're reading through it, page 11, like the first panel on the page, you can see the pacifista's sword. This is where Blackbeard realizes, wait, he's a pacifista, and he starts to fight it. The pacifista goes in for an attack. Blackbeard blocks it with armament hockey, which I could be mistaken, but this might be one of the first times we actually get to see Blackbeard using hockey. It was implied that he had it, but I don't think it was ever really confirmed. Well, other than Impel Down when he can sense Luffy's hockey, but I don't think we've ever seen him use it. He blocks the pacifista and then uses Black Hole, and then we cut back over to Boa, who is using Slave Arrow on all of the Marines, hitting all the Marines, turning them into stone. Helmeppo, the Vice Admiral, and then Koby, managed to avoid them all. But then he looks at the pacifista and says, hey, stop that. You'll smash the people who got turned into stone. We can't waste their lives. Stop right now. And then Boa's about to attack, and then Blackbeard gets there. Blackbeard grabs Boa by the neck, lifts her up, and this is where we get to see Boa's bounty, Blackbeard's bounty, and we get to see them interacting and Koby sitting there trying to be a mediator. So Boa's bounty is currently 1,659,000,000, and Teach's, Blackbeard's bounty is 3,996,000,000. So he's pretty much just like, you're obviously very strong, Boa. You've turned Katarina Devon and Vasco Shot to stone. So, he lost quite a bit on that endeavor too. Now Boa can't use her power because Blackbeard has it. So pretty much he explains, I want the power. She goes, well, my power is only strong because I'm beautiful. You wouldn't get it. So that confirms one thing. The fruit does not portray you to be the most beautiful. It doesn't give that off. So that's interesting. That's something we didn't know previously. At this point, Koby's like, yeah, I knew it. Boa's, much stronger than everybody thought. Koby's like, just let her go. If she turns everybody back, we'll leave. You leave, the Marines will leave. We'll just call this a stalemate, and we'll all start back from scratch. And Blackbeard's like, it seems like we're at a bit of an impasse, doesn't it, hero? And then he says, you did me a favor back at Rockyport. That made it all possible for me to oust Ochoku and become the boss of Pirate Island. I was actually just watching Tekking's video. I had no idea who this was until I saw Tekking's video, so I'm glad I watched it before this. But that's Wang Ji, former pirate of Rox Diesebek, a former crew member of that pirate or commander, whatever it was. It either seems that Blackbeard killed him or just beat him and sent him off to obscurity, but that's who that is. And, a little bit more history from Rox Diesebek. That's cool. And we get a zoomed out picture of Amazon Lily, and Luffy's bounty picture is posted up in just like a large mural. So that's kind of funny considering Boa's, in love with him. At this point, Blackbeard's like, if I unhand the woman, do you reckon she'd play nice and change everybody back to normal? Koby's like, oh, it would be a headache for me if she didn't turn the Marines back. Boa's like, yeah, I'll do it if you two get off my island. And Blackbeard's like, I don't know. It might just be easier to kill you and, call it a loss. Yeah, I lost some good people, but it's Blackbeard. He doesn't care. But he just kind of decides at this point, you know what? I'm going to kill her. I'm done. And Koby's like, please wait, don't throw away all those lives. And then it looks like we get a bit of a burst of Conqueror's Haki, actually. Huh, I didn't notice that the first time I read through it either. But yeah, it looks like a little burst of Conqueror's Haki from Rayleigh. And Rayleigh shows up and goes, I didn't think that the train would get this, devastated, but I knew that the Navy would probably come after the island. And then he's like, yeah, sorry I'm late, Hancock. And everybody's like, wait, Dark King Rayleigh? Hold up. Rayleigh looks at Blackbeard. He's like, Whitebeard's old apprentice, huh? I know it's immature to admit this, but I really don't like you. Which is funny because dude's like 70 years old. He's like, yeah, screw that kid. Doesn't even refer to him as an emperor. He doesn't care. He's like, yeah, Whitebeard's old apprentice. Blackbeard's shocked. Koby's shocked. Boa kind of looks relieved. Rayleigh pretty much diffuses the whole situation. Says, Hancock, return everybody to normal. You two, get out, or you'll have to deal with me. Then we cut back to present day. All that happens, and we have Shaki, Rayleigh, Boa, and a few of the other people there. Rayleigh's like, yeah, I'm glad you managed to survive that. And Boa's like, yeah, it's thanks to you, Rayleigh. Shaki is there, and this is where we get to see Shaki's old crew, or what used to be her old crew. She was a captain of her own crew, and it was actually quite surprising. She was the ex-captain of the Kuja Pirates from 2 generations ago. So we got 3 generations ago and 2 generations ago and current generation. We were all wrong. I don't think anybody guessed that Shaki was the captain of the Kuja Pirates. But it would explain why she's so strong, or appears to be so strong. So she's like, yeah, progress sometimes causes new problems. She goes, even the combat isn't safe anymore. With Vegapunk's Seastone paddle ships out there, between the Navy's new weapons and Blackbeard's arrival, I thought we were done for. The older lady. And Rayleigh's like, yeah, to be frank, we're lucky because my status allowed that to be diffused. I've gotten old and I'm not as strong as I used to be. I don't think I could have fought and won against Blackbeard at this point, which is kind of crazy. That is Rayleigh admitting that Blackbeard has grown significantly in strength. It's going to be interesting to see actually him on a full display of strength. I don't think we're going to get that until the final battle, but It'll definitely be interesting. So then we get some conversation between Boa and her sisters, and they're like, yeah, one of the pacifistas looked just like Boa when she was a kid. Everybody kind of is not shocked about that, but curious, it seems. We get an actual view of her, and she's got the earrings and everything. So it's 100% modeled after Boa. Just the eyes are stars for some reason. I wonder if that's some way to try and replicate her power. That would be interesting. Especially since there is artificial devil fruits now. That would definitely be very interesting to see if they're actually experimenting with that as well. So then we see a Navy ship, and we hear, yes, we'll be docking at Egghead Port soon regarding the kidnapping of Captain Koby. So Captain Koby, the hero of the Rocky Port incident, has been abducted by one of the four emperors, Blackbeard. His current status is unknown. And that is the end of the chapter. I don't know if we have a break next week or not. I guess we'll find out. Blackbeard is definitely being set up to be a large scale villain, which obviously he's one of the four emperors now, but he's really making himself an enemy to Luffy. It would be very interesting to see a run-in between him and Shanks. I think that's probably what's going to happen. It's definitely building up to everybody that Luffy kind of holds dear to him as a pirate. Boa, Koby, all of them. Blackbeard is making advances at enemies that, trying to take out. So it only makes sense for him to try and take out Shanks. One, it would create a power vacuum for him to take more space, more people. But two, it also hurt Luffy more. I wouldn't be surprised if Blackbeard somehow gets back to the East Blue and causes some issues there for like Makino, Dedan, all of them. That I don't see that as below Blackbeard. Hopefully Kobe's still alive. I think he is. I don't think he'd be taken out off screen like that. So let me know what you guys think is going to happen next. Let me know what you guys thought of this chapter, and were you right about Shaki? I know I wasn't. I had no idea. I thought she was a part of Rox's crew. That pretty much does it for this video, and we'll see you in the next one.